Hey, Shalom, Akim Shalom. Before we begin this lesson, we want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Bahasham,
Bahasham,
Hawashai,
Yahweh Shai,
Bahasham,
Bahasham,
Hakwadash.
Bachakadash.
Double honors to the and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us this truth, and a sincere Shalom to all the hopeful elect out there listening, learning, and or teaching. Shalom to you all. All right, so today, reincarnation. And we're just going to go into the basics of it and proving to you that it's very biblical, all right, and there's no way around it. Okay, for those people out there that want to debate and all that, all right, we don't do debates. We just teach you what the scriptures say, all right? But there's no debating this, okay, these precepts that we're about to bring out. Okay, so with that said, we're just going to jump right into it. We're going to get started in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3 and verse 16. So we're going to start off by establishing a few things. Then we're going to, precept upon precept, like the scriptures teach in Isaiah 28 and verse 9 on down. It says, precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. You can't read the Bible like a novel, right? The Bible tells you this is what this means. You connect it to this thing over here that doesn't tell you what it means, but it references it. Okay, so how are you going to know what it means? In the Christian church, they just make it up as they go. But here, we're going to break it down, like it says, precept upon precept. So without any further ado, I have the brother Ratazawan going to Ecclesiastes 3 and verse 16.
God, Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 16 says, and moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there.
God. So the reason I bring this out is telling you the place of judgment is here on the earth. Okay, so you see, it says, I saw under the sun, right? What's under the sun? The earth. Okay, so this is the place where there's judgment, and it says also the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. Okay, so we'll just keep that in mind, and we're going to go to our next precept. Okay, that's going to be in the same book. We're going to go to chapter 12 and verse 7. And it's going to go into, well, I'll let the scripture speak.
God, Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7. It says, God, then shall dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto the Most High who gave it.
So a lot of people, they confuse, like, oh, what happens when you die? Well, this scripture right here tells you, very simple. Everybody goes back to the Father, Yahweh, right? The Father of spirits, the one who created it, the one who gave it, like it says here. And the spirit shall return unto the Most High who gave it. All right, so we establish that when you die, you go to the Most High, Yahweh. And also we establish the place of judgment is here on the earth. Okay, all right, now the next scripture is going to make a lot more sense when we put it all together. We're going to go into the Apocrypha. Bear with me 1 second. The Apocrypha, 2nd Esdras. We're going to go to chapter 1. Salakia, not chapter 1. Chapter 14. And once we get to 14, we're going to read verse 35.
We have 2nd Esdras chapter 14, verse 35. For after death shall the judgment come.
Salakia. We're going to just, Salakia. So it says, for after death, right? So remember, we just read what happens when you die is you go back to the Father, Yahweh, right? So just keep that in mind as the brother reads this. Could you start from the top of verse 35 again, Baba Kurshat?
Come. For after death shall the judgment. Salakia.
You good?
For after death shall the judgment come.
Khan. So remember, when you die, you go back to Yahweh, right? And the place of judgment is here on the earth. All right. So now we'll read that again, and then we'll break it down.
All right. For after death shall the judgment come, when we shall live again, and then shall the names of the righteous be manifest,
Khan.
and the works of the ungodly shall be declared.
Khan. You see that? So basically, it's saying, right? For after death shall the judgment come, when we shall live again. Okay, so after you die, you go back to Yahweh, you get your judgment, then Yahweh sends you back to the place of judgment. What's that? The earth. When we shall live again. Right? And then the last part of that, it says, and then shall the names of the righteous be manifest, and the works of the ungodly shall be declared. Right? So when you come back to this life, right, that's when they're going to know, okay, was this person righteous or wicked? Because a lot of times you're going to suffer for your past life in this life. Okay, like the man that was born blind in the New Testament. Y'all can remember the story where, the disciples had asked Yahweh Shai, all right, who sinned, this man, or his parents? And we're going to get into that in a minute. But, I really want to go over this scripture because it tells you clearly what happens after death. As the other scriptures that we connected, all right, when you die, you go to the Father. You don't go to a place where you burn forever, and you don't go to the kingdom of heaven yet because it has not been established here on the earth. Okay, because that's where the kingdom of heaven is going to be, is here on the earth. Okay, so, with that being said, go ahead and we're going to read that again, just nice and slow. And, just to kind of really get it back, get it hammered into the whoever's listening. Repetition.
God.
Master of, repetition is how we learn, basically.
God. For after death shall be judgment come, when we shall live again, and then shall the names of the righteous be manifest, and the works of the ungodly shall be declared.
Khan. It's just like that scripture in Hebrews that says, once to die and then the judgment, right? So you die, then you get your judgment, right? But like this scripture gives more. It says after that judgment, right? You live on the earth, you die, you go back to the Father, and the process repeats. See, so all the scriptures connect. There is no, what's that word I'm looking for? There is no contradictions. All right, everything is precept upon precept. So we're gonna get an example of this, how the Bible speaks about reincarnation. Okay, we're gonna go to John chapter 9 in the New Testament. John chapter 9, and we'll start at verse 1. We're just going to read verse 1, and we'll go into it.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with power, and the Word was power.
It's going to be John chapter 9 and verse 1.
Oh, Salaki. Yes. All right, here we go. John chapter 9, verse 1. And as Yahushua passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth.
Khan. So Yahushua passed by, and he saw a man who was blind from birth. Very important detail. So he was born blind. He's always been blind. He's never not been blind. Right?
God. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?
Khan. So you see, the disciples, okay, they're asking Yahushua, why was he born blind? Was it because of his sin or his parents' sin? So something had to happen where people knew about reincarnation back in the day. It's called common knowledge, right? It didn't have to be written down. People just knew about it. Israelites specifically, we knew about this, all right? And that's why they asked Yahushua. Now, pay attention here to the response Yahushua gave. Because here's the thing. If you was born blind, how could you sin? You had to have sinned before you were born, implying what? Reincarnation. Let's read verse 2 again, Baba Kursha.
And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?
Most people read that and they think, oh, did he sin? Maybe he murdered somebody. No, how are you going to murder somebody before you were blind if you were born blind? So they asking Yahushua, did he sin in his past life or was it his parents' fault? Now watch what Yahushua says. Verse 3.
Yahushua answered, Neither hath this man sinned, nor his parents, but that the works of power should be made manifest of him.
Said, neither had this man sinned nor his parents. So what does that mean? Remember, he was born blind, so he had to have sinned in his past life. So Yahushua basically told you, nah, he was good even in his past life. The purpose of this blindness is to prove the power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. All right, if y'all could receive it. You see? And a lot of people will blow right past that and they'll just, they won't think about it, right? But there's other scriptures that is more in your face about it. And that's the next one we're going to go into. We're going to go into Revelation. And these are just some basic examples. Revelation chapter 1 and verse 7.
All right, Revelation chapter 1, verse 7. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindred.
So it's talking about Yahushua, right? This whole chapter is about him. It says he comes with clouds, which we know that's the chariots, the so-called UFOs, and every eye shall see him. And read that first part again, Baba Kursha.
Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him.
You see? And they also which pierced him. Right now it's 2025. So 2,000 years ago, these men pierced Yahushua. Yahushua has not returned yet. So this is a prophecy that we're waiting for it to be fulfilled. So my question to anybody that doubts reincarnation is, okay, how are these men going to see Yahushua returning? Are they still alive? Are they 2,025 years old, roughly? Right? So these men obviously died. So how are they going to see Yahushua returning? All right? They have to be reincarnated. All right? Go ahead and read the rest of that, Baba Kursha.
And all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen.
God. Yeah, all these different nations and heathens, they're going to be crying, bawling, because they know that Yahushua's rulership is here, man. Once he returns, that's it. All these different empires are going down, man. Well, first of all, the Edomite Empire and all these nations that's holding hands with Esau, they're going down, man. All right? But, yeah, the point of that is saying he's coming with clouds. The people that pierced him, they're going to see him, right? So, boom. It's simple, self-explanatory, but, a lot of you that don't believe in reincarnation, you just need to read these scriptures over and over again and ask yourself, what possible alternative could that mean? And you'll see that there's no way around it. All right? But, yeah, that's all we're going to go into as far as reincarnation today. Lord's will, we can make a part 2 or something and, go into more detail later. But with that, we want to finish by giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Shem,
Bahashem,
Awashai,
Yahweh Shai,
Hashem,
Bahashem,
Rachakwadash.
Rachakadash.
Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us this truth, and sincere shalom to the hopeful elect out there listening and learning and teaching. Shalom to you all. Shalom wa abad babal. Shalom.